Alright, so John Colo at DiscountJuicers.com. Today we have another exciting episode for you. In this episode, I'm going to show you guys how to make a green juice, including celery, in the Kuvings Whole Slow Juicer Elite. I made a video about 7 years ago, literally in my garden, making a green juice in the original Kuvings Whole Slow Juicer. That was a B6000. I now only recommend the C7000, which is my favorite Kuvings model. I like this model even more than their EVO820. That does look snazzier, looks nicer, but functionality-wise, this basically works the same exact way, and it'll actually save you guys some money. Of course, if you want the higher-end juicer that looks nicer, of course, I would recommend the EVO820. Link is down below this video in the comment to get the Elite or the EVO820. The process with juicing in the EVO820 would be identical to this one. Alright, so, today alone, literally, I got 2 emails from customers that have purchased the Kuvings, C7000, this model, actually from me, and they weren't necessarily happy with their juicer. I'll try to throw up a picture right now. And you can see that's their juicing screen that's basically just clogged up and jammed with celery. They're saying, John, I'm juicing celery and this thing does more horrible than my last juicer that I had. It's getting clogged up. The juicer basically doesn't really juice and it just makes a mess. And they're really not happy with it, And this is where reading the directions might be important. That comes with the machine, but more importantly than reading directions are watching the videos that I make so that you guys can learn the specifics on how to properly juice in any juicer, because I've had experience juicing in all different kinds of juicers and different produce in different kinds of juicers. And, much like many of you guys may own different pairs of shoes, I own different juicers, and each day I might use a different juicer depending on the task I'm doing. Some juicers are better at juicing certain items than others. And, while clearly the Kuvings can easily make a green juice, this green juice, actually I might choose a horizontal auger juicer, such as the yet-to-be-released Kuvings 3-inch wide horizontal feed chute juicer that'll hopefully be out within the next, before the end of the year, let's put it that way. Or at least something like the Omega NC800, which is my current favorite juicer because you would not have to pre-cut some of the items, as I'm going to show you guys, right? A normal person would think, oh, you could just take a piece of celery, put it in, and then push it in with a pusher. And then that's how this machine works. You'd be totally off base. That's not how this machine works. Maybe with a high-speed juicer, that's what you do. But actually with the Kuvings, I recommend that you actually throw away the pusher. You don't want to use it. Actually, it will cause you more hassle and problems than it's worth, especially when trying to make this green juice. So trade in your pusher and instead invest in a nice chef's knife. You will need a nice chef's knife to juice greens in a Kuvings vertical juicer or any other vertical juicer for that matter. The next thing is when you select your produce, you want to make sure you get nice, hard, and firm produce. So the cucumbers, you want nice and hard and firm. If you buy cucumbers that are soft that you could kind of give like an avocado, they're going to mush up and not juice as well. Likewise, when you're buying celery to juice, you want to try to get the celery on the whole head, not the individual stalks that are pre-washed and ready to go. I know some of you guys might be doing that, but those celeries tend to get a lot more harder. The strings it basically gets more rigor mortis and it gets less watery. And these are more prone to jamming and clogging, especially if you don't do the techniques that I'm showing you. Of course, when you're buying greens, these are greens fresh picked from my garden, a whole container of Swiss chard and spinach, maybe some cabbage greens mixed in there as well. If you're buying baby greens, this is probably the easiest thing for you guys to do. That's in like a little tub. Those you can just basically take out of the tub and put right into the juicer. If you guys are buying longer greens, and the longer greens will have like the longer stems on them. Let's see if I can find one. Here's like a long stem. These stems, much like the stems on the celery, will get stuck in the juicer. So that's why, using a chef's knife will be imperative to juice the greens and the celery and even things like ginger in the Kuvings. They should all be pre-cut to proper size. But that's basically what I'm going to show you guys in this video today. So for the customer that had the issue juicing celery, I could show her how to properly use the machine so it'll work beautifully. Much like if you don't treat a husband or girlfriend or boyfriend right, they might think you're the biggest witch, but with a B in the beginning. and they're going to treat you bad. Same thing with the juicer. If you don't treat it properly, you don't handle it properly, don't use it properly, it's going to be the worst nightmare in your life ever. But if you treat it right, you're going to be like, wow, this juicer is really great. And it's quite unfortunate to me that even to this date, instruction manuals in instruction books of the juicers don't tell you exactly my procedures that I've learned through my customer input, but also more importantly through my own experience juicing, because this is like basically a standard juicing fare for me on a weekly basis. I'll juice you know, a lot of greens like this. Take a look at the link down below. I have made a video on bulk juicing. This video is a partial bulk juice, and I'll be timing it actually so you guys can see how long the process takes. I will say that I like the Kuvings wide feed chute juicer with a 3-inch wide feed chute. This is the juicer that will save you the most time if you're going to go on a juice fast, because in general some items don't need to be pre-cut, such as apples and tomatoes and cucumbers don't necessarily need to be pre-cut, but I will be pre-cutting them. Carrots don't need to be pre-cut. Beets don't need to be pre-cut because you could put them in whole. That being said, other things like the celery and the greens should still be pre-cut. If you're juicing something like watermelon, this is the fastest juicer. That's a slow juicer that I found to do watermelon juice, and that's why I like it so much. If you guys enjoy my content and these episodes, and I've taught you a few things on how to use your juicer properly, I would encourage you guys to support me and my work by making your purchase at discountjuicers.com. Once again, link is down below for the Kuvings EVO820 and the C7000 I'm using in this episode. Your purchase at Discount Juicers directly goes to support me so I can keep my lights on, buy my produce, and make these videos to show you guys the truth about juicing and how to juice the best way possible, which will save you time and end up saving you guys money in the long run. Also, over my 600 videos, I compare and contrast all the different major brand juicers so that you guys get the right one for you, because in the end, I want you guys to become juicers for life. I'm a juicer for life. I drink 3 different juice blends a day in my life, and you know, I want everybody on the planet to drink at least 1 juice a day minimum to ramp up your phytonutrient content, because it is the power, the healing power of the vegetables that people simply do not eat enough of in this day and age. In case I could talk all day and you guys know that, so what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and hit start on the stopwatch, and we're going to get going. So the most important thing when using a Kuvings or any other vertical juicer is to prepare your produce properly. So for cucumbers, I cut them into half and then cut them up again. So what we're going to literally do right now, before I even get to juicing, is we're going to properly cut up all the produce so it is all ready to go. So I'm slicing the cucumber in half and then basically into thirds, and I'm basically making different piles of produce. So this will be critical for when I start to juice, to have all these different piles so that the juicing process works much easier. It's very simple and easy to do this. On the celery, we're going to go ahead and take a whole bunch of celery here, and it's very important we pre-cut the celery into, I say 1/8 inch pieces, but you get away with the 1/4 inch pieces. So I just come around, take a whole bunch. This is easy if you have a big stalks of celery. I just come down and just hold them all together and just cut them into little pieces, right, against the stalk. The stalk is what's going to clog up your juicer. It's going to jam your juicer, and it's going to give you guys great issues. So we just got to cut it up so that the juicer could easily handle it. You guys can see, you know, I basically cut up this whole piece into little pieces, and now it's not going to be an issue. So we're going to just move that to the side, and I'm going to continue to cut up all my celery, and we'll come back at you when I'm ready to process my greens. Alright, so I'm just about done chopping up all the celery. Got lots of celery here. I probably should have got some bowls today to contain all this celery here, but we have lots of celery, lots of produce. Next, we want to chop up the greens pretty much the same way we did the celery. Very important if you're juicing, you know, collard greens, kale greens especially, Swiss chard like I'm juicing today, spinach. We want to basically take the greens, and once again, we want to chop up the greens against the grain into 1/4 inch pieces, much like we did the celery. This is critical, or these stalks could jam up the juicer and wreck your whole juicing experience. So I'm just going to go ahead and next chop up this stuff. Alright, so you guys can see I got everything chopped up, and already 7 minutes into the juicing process, and I didn't even turn the juicer on yet, right? Sometimes I'll multitask and I will basically kind of do things concurrently. So I will, you know, sometimes, you know, cut a few things up, drop it in, and then, you know, keep chopping as I'm dropping things in. This will save me some time. That being said, today I want to kind of just show you guys the way to do it the easy way so that you guys don't mess up. Now the most important thing is we're going to go ahead and turn the machine on, and now we're going to basically rotate the items as we put in. I always like to put in like no pusher, once again, a handful of the greens, just drop those in the machine. And once again, we're going to let the machine work at its own pace. We're not pushing it in. Everything's kind of dropping in a little bit at a time. Maybe we'll put a few more greens in there. Now once we put the greens in, right, now we want to put a piece of cucumber in there. The cucumber is kind of watery, so it kind of helps like get out some of that green juice. Like it tend to foam a little bit. And then once we put in that cucumber, it's processed a little bit, we're going to go ahead and take a handful of celery. The celery adds like more fiber and the roughage to really help push through the greens and the cucumber and the celery to get it to juice properly. Now I know what some of you guys are thinking. You're thinking, John, man, you got a juicer that the wide feed chute, and then you still got to pre-cut all the produce? That's humbug. Well, you know, that's your you're entitled to that opinion, of course. You know, and yeah, I try to make it evidently clear in some of my videos that how to use a Kuvings juicer, and I talk about, like, you know, despite having a wide feed chute, you just can't drop anything in there. I try to show you guys actually the truth on what happens, and that's why I'm making this video. But like on some things like watermelon, this thing saves you incredible amounts of time, but it'll also juice your greens. Once again, we're rotating through our 3 handfuls and letting it process, giving it some time to work. Now once again, if you don't want to do all this pre-cutting, you don't have to. Instead, you can do pushing on a horizontal juicer, such as the soon-to-be-released, but by the end of the year, Kuvings 3-inch wide horizontal, or an Omega NC800, which is my favorite vertical juicer at this time. Anyways, this is pretty much the process. I've just got to drop in handfuls, let it process, give the juicer some time, and let it work, all right? So what we're going to do to save you guys some time is we're going to go ahead and speed this video up for you guys. We're going to come back at you when I'm pretty much all done. Alright, so we're maybe halfway done through the juicing process. I've actually gotten through almost all the greens. I want to give you guys an update. Everything's working great. The pulp is flowing out. It's actually fairly dry. I'm quite impressed. We are creating a lot of foam, so I always like to use a sieve, you know, when I make juice. So we're going to go ahead and turn the machine off for a second. And let's go ahead and close the spout cap. So I want to show you guys, like, every juicer will create some level of foam. I believe due to the wider feed chute, this juicer will create a bit more foam than other juicers that are vertical because there's a lot more airspace that's being drawn in as the auger is pulling produce in. You know, this is not such a big of a deal with other juicers that don't have the 3-inch wide feed chute. So please understand that the 3-inch wide feed chute is a pro, but it's also a con because it's a pro because you could juice things fast, like watermelons and whole apples and whole tomatoes and oranges that have been peeled and lemons and limes and beets and carrots without cutting. But, you know, in green juices, you know, you will need to, it will create a bit more foam. So what I do is I strain this out, and after I strain it out, then I'll basically just run it back through the juicer, because basically what is the foam? The foam is basically juice that has air injected into it. So I'm just going to go ahead and run it back through the juicer a second time, and it looks like our collection cup's getting full. So we're then going to go ahead and, you know, pour it off into some jars here that we got already set up. And I think I'm going to actually probably end up making maybe like a gallon of juice today in the Kuvings, so we'll see how long it takes. I like to always double strain my juices. Of course, straining your juice is completely optional. That's up to you if you guys want to strain your juice or not. There's probably something to be said about some of the fiber that is left in the juice. You know, if you don't strain it, so there's soluble and insoluble fiber in juices. The soluble fiber is in the juice already. and the insoluble fiber is like the little bits of pulp that come through the juicer. So the Kuvings does leave more pulp in the juice than the Omega VSJ843 that I like to use a lot. Once again, we got a lot more, foam that we caught in the second strainer time, second straining. So we're just going to go ahead and run that back through the juicer. And so you guys can see we got basically almost 2 things of juice there. So let's go ahead and continue juicing. Alright, so we're almost done juicing, and we got basically probably like another 2 quarts of juice. So we're going to go ahead and put those in jars, and I like to always make my juices even because we ran out of greens probably about halfway through juicing, and then I was just juicing basically cucumbers and celery at the end. So I want to make sure all these juicers have about the same amount of greens in there. Some of the greens could taste a bit strong. So we're going to go ahead and now evenly distribute my juices. So this has gone pretty uneventful. I have a video on where I get all my supplies. This is basically like a 2-quart glass Anchor Hawking measuring cup. I think it's available at like your local big box store. Alright, so let's go ahead and get the rest of this stuff juiced. I have maybe like 2 more handfuls of stuff here. Just that's the last piece of cucumber going in. Then I just got the rest of the celery dropping right in there. Always important to end on celery in this specific recipe, or end in carrots if you're not using celery. Carrots or celery will also help push through all the stuff in the juicer through a lot better than say greens would, or even a cucumber would, especially if it's pre-cut. I always like to end with carrots in the Kuvings, because that also helps to clear out this passageway at the top of the machine that sometimes there's residues left in, and that's just one of the downsides of buying a wide feed chute juicer that has a bigger area at the top of the auger that produce is left stuck in, that literally does not get juiced every single time you juice. Sometimes more, sometimes less, depending on how you use it, and also depending on if you let it run or not. So you guys notice that I just put the last handful in, and I'm letting the juicer run a little bit more before I just turn off the machine. Now the other tip is, you want to turn off the machine, you want to put it in reverse, for maybe 30 seconds, and then run it to forward. This might also help dislodge some of the produce that's up at the top that did not actually go into the juicer. And I think with that we're about done, so we can hit stop here. So look at that, it took me about 26 minutes for the entire juicing process to basically make 4 quarts of green juice, which is 1 gallon. So I don't think that's that bad. Literally 1 gallon in a half hour with the Kuvings juicer. Just make sure you properly pre-cut your produce, before you start juicing. Very important. What I want to do now is we're going to go ahead and move these to the side. But I want to show you guys actually what's left in the Kuvings when you're done, if you use it properly, right? Number one, we're left with all this pulp that came out without an issue. It did not clog, did not jam. I mean, this pulp to me, if I squeeze this out, there's a little bit of juice in there, but it's fairly dry. A high-speed juicer would definitely not do this well. Let's go ahead and take this apart. Taking this apart here, you guys can see inside here, oops, we have some celery and some residual stuff that did not get juiced. That's just to be expected in a wide feed chute juicer. And then we remove the juicing screen and the auger assembly, so you guys can see in the auger here, inside the auger, this is totally normal, to see unjuiced items. This is just how these machines work. There'll always be some residue left in the juicer when you're done. In addition, underneath the juicer, don't be alarmed when there's pulp clogged up and jammed underneath the juicer auger. That's completely normal as well. Also inside the juicing screen, you guys can see there's not a whole lot left in there. You know, there is pulp ground into the screen. And then at the bottom, you know, where the pulp comes out, you know, there definitely will be some pulp left in there as well. That's completely normal. It shouldn't be jammed in there. You should just be able to easily remove it with your fingers. If you push it out, it should just basically pop out for you. Finally, in the main body there, we're going to close this feed spout. You know, there shouldn't be much left in here. And then, of course, the pulp port, there'll be some pulp left in there. But, I mean, pretty much that's how this machine works, right? I'll be the first to tell you guys that, you know, the first choice for me when I'm buying a juicer would not be a wide feed chute juicer. I don't tend to juice a lot of fruits, and I tend to juice a lot more greens, and I don't really care about the wide feed chute if I'm pre-cutting most items anyways. I don't care about pre-cutting a few more items. That's why I personally use the Mega VSJ843 for the most part in my kitchen. I'll post a link down below to a video where I compare the Kuvings wide feed chute to the VSJ843 so you guys could better understand the differences. That being said, for what it is, the Kuvings is the best 3-inch wide vertical feed chute out there that I've tested to date. And if you are looking for a wide feed chute so that you don't have to pre-cut other items such as fruits, you know, this could definitely be the good machine for you because it will save you time when you're juicing things like melons, for example, and even pineapple. Just make sure you pre-cut the core of the pineapple just like you would the celery, and you'll be left with this much pulp and all this juice that you guys are seeing. So that is how you successfully juice a green juice in the Kuvings C7000. If you guys enjoyed this episode, please be sure to give this video a thumbs up. Also, please be sure to share this video with others so that they can learn how to properly use the Kuvings to have the best results, to not have it clog, not have it jam, and literally make 1 gallon without a hitch in the Kuvings juicer. Also, if you guys are interested in purchasing the Kuvings C7000, first link in the comments below, also in the description to link directly to discountjuicers.com to support me so I can continue to make these videos for you guys so that I could continue to test, compare, and share all my expert tips with you guys so you guys become juicing experts for life. Also, be sure to click that subscribe button right down below so you don't miss out on my new upcoming episodes that come out every 5 to 7 days. You never know what you'll be learning on my YouTube channel. Make sure you click the little bell so you get notified as my new videos come out. Also, be sure to check my past episodes. My past episodes are a wealth of knowledge. Over 600 episodes at this time on this YouTube channel dedicated to comparing and contrasting and showing you guys all my juicing tips so that you guys can become an expert juicer just like me. So with that, my name is John Kohler with DiscountJuicers.com. Be sure to visit DiscountJuicers.com/YouTube for special promotional offers for our YouTube visitors.